This is the Kia Seltos, the car which initiated the brand's identity in the country back in 2019. Now, it has gone through a series of changes over the years, and this is the third generation which has brought in a very 2026-esque shape and design elements to the table. Now, we've driven this quite substantially, and this is something which has been scientifically designed to make your life easy. So, without further ado, let me tell you why this is a better car than the Tata Sierra that everyone's raving about.
When the Seltos was launched 9 years ago back in 2016, Kia threw in every possible convenience feature known to be in cars a segment or two above, which made the competition sweat and people drool over it. The intellectual buyers picked it up as their top choice and influenced other people in the same league, which helped Kia maintain its image and improve the packaging further on. How are things now is what we are here to talk about.
Now, there's one design element which has been carried around in everything in this Seltos, and that is chamfered edges. Even in this new Kia logo, which a lot of people call it as KNN, inverted N, you've got chamfered edges on the sides as well, and that sort of a design cue has been given to almost every little detail in this car, which I really like, and I'm going to talk to you about it as we go through this review. Now, everyone is raving about this elongated front grille, which is getting a lot of opinions on the internet. But when you see this car in the flesh, you really appreciate of how detailed everything is. You've got these embossed teeth that are coming out in this shark sort of face, which looks very aggressive and menacing. Now, you have this headlamp cluster over here with 3 LED DRLs like a tiger's claw, and your headlamp cluster down below. You've got this number 1 DRL over here on the side, which does look really menacing when you are being followed by a Kia Seltos in your rear view mirror. Now, this bumper design is what you get in the GT line and the X line cars. In the Tech line, you've got a metal-esque bumper, which is very similar to the Kia Carens Clavis. But otherwise, each and everything in this car is pretty good in terms of its fascia. You've got this nice elongated bonnet, which has a very subtle muscular line, and it has a very straight line which goes up here and starts deviating down. Overall, the face in the flesh looks very, very menacing. Now, on the side profile, this looks quintessentially Seltos, but with a fresh flair. Now, there are certain things which are sort of questionable, but it does enhance the design overall. You've got a plastic cladding which now is painted in gloss black in the GT line and the X line. In the Tech line, you get a matte finished plastic cladding, which is more useful, but in terms of aesthetics, this looks really nice. Although the wheel well is quite large, and this would look good in darker shades and more cohesive with very dark shades like this red shade that we have over here. You've got 8-spoke alloy wheels over here, which have very Germanic signs. If you look at it with a blurred eye, you would notice what is coming out of this alloy wheel design. But I like it. It's nice. These are 18-inch alloy wheels, shorted to 215, 55, R18 tires. These Apollo tires, which do have a good amount of grip in the dry. We haven't tested them in the wet, but they look really nice. On the side, you have these dual tone rear view mirrors with your turn indicators over here, and even this is painted in the body color, which might get scratched over the period of time, but this looks very, very premium indeed. But you have to get it properly PPF'd to protect it from scratches and bruises. You got these flush door handles which go in when you lock the car and come out when you unlock the car. You don't have to press it like this and then turn it out like in some other cars. And the door third is also very reassuring. You've got gloss black plastic on the side cladding. The opening angle of these doors is also good for ingress and egress, especially the one at the back, which is good for the elderly passengers. And gloss black roof rails over here. Overall, the GT line looks very nice from the side with a good amount of muscle lines that are thrown around this particular character line that comes from the bottom and goes to the top. Little details which make life very, very beautiful, and you really look back to your car again and appreciate the design that is there. Hi, baby. And once you come to this back, you've got this slightly coupe-esque design, although this is exactly the same as how it used to be in the previous generation, but it has been made a little more slant to give it a better aerodynamic efficiency. This car has better aerodynamic efficiency than the previous generation, and the way it drives, it just shows up even more. You've got these tail lamps over here which look really handsome, although reminiscent to the previous generation, and the rear end is pretty handsome as well, although we miss out on exposed exhausts at the back in the GT line. The product team says it is because of the design and the policy that the Euro emission standards has thrown at them. They would have to reduce the exhaust systems under the bumper. And you've got a manually operated boot which opens up quite quickly, making access to the boot pretty easy. Now we've got two large suitcases that are fitted in the back, and you can fit 2-3 bags over here and 2 bags on top of these suitcases to maximize efficiency in storage. Now this has an increased storage capacity of 14 liters, which might not show up too much, but the way the boot lid is designed and the access from the bottom to put your stuff at the back has been improved substantially. You also get your wiper blades in the rear spoiler, and it has this motion to clean the rear windshield. What do you think about the design of the Kia Seltos in this generation? Let us know in the comments.
As much as the exterior is great to look at, the interiors are extremely well packaged and ergonomic.
Here on the inside of the new Seltos, everything that you touch and feel is high quality, and the ergonomics are just top notch. Ergonomics is a concept that a lot of manufacturers in India are slowly slipping away from, and they're making each and every element inside the cabin, especially in the driver environment, more complex. But luckily, Kia stuck to the basics and made sure that each and everything that is there in the driver's command center or the controls for the passenger or the driver are easy to use. They have added convenience to the car with a capital C, as I say. To start off with, my driver's seat is 10-way adjustable. It has lower lumbar support as well. You've got these nice textured fabric and breathable headrests, which is a first in this segment. You've got dual tone steering wheel, which has rake and reach adjustment for your comfort, and everything that you touch and feel over here is pretty top notch. You've got contrast stitching over here, chamfered edges on the airbag binnacle. You've got proper and large physical buttons for your cruise control and ADAS controls and your audio control over here. You also have your drive mode button on the steering wheel itself and your traction mode right besides it. So it makes it a very, very easy experience to switch your drive mode while you're on the go without letting your hands go off the steering wheel. Now this is a 2.5 screened layout where you have your multimedia interface, which now gets wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and the system is very easy to use. The refresh rate is also very, very good. You have this 5-inch touchscreen for your climate control system, so whilst you're driving you can change the temperature settings or other settings for your climate control. You also have physical buttons for your climate control over here, which can be controlled even while you're not giving attention to this side of the cabin, doing about 100 kilometers an hour. Then you have the instruments display, which can change the graphics from round dials to digital dials as per your preference, and you can change the color of the dials as well as per your preference, or this in accordance to the 64 color ambient light that you get as standard in this top of the line GT line. Two cup holders over here which are placed very ergonomically. You got this nice chunky gear lever which is good to rest your palm while you're doing your long distance trips, and it is also very nice to hold and feel. A space over here to keep your mobile phones. You can charge large mobile phones over here as well wirelessly, and you have another place over here to keep your keys. You also get the same keys as the Kia Carnival with chamfered edges, and the binnacle of this key is also very good. Good amount of storage space under the front armrest. You get good amount of storage space in the glove box as well. Good amount of space in the door cards for the bottles, and you have this nice sunglass holder with soft padding on the inside to ensure that your sunglasses are not scratched. Now, in addition to that, you get these large buttons for the audio control and the menu controls, which you can control with the tip of your nose or the cranium of your head. And this rotary knob to control the volume, which is really high in quality, and each and every element inside this car feels top notch. You've got soft touch materials on the dashboard, you've got soft touch materials on the door card, very high quality stocks for the wiper and the light controls, and surprisingly you have your handbrake lever on the right hand side of the driver. You also get 3 levels of seat ventilation and 2 different memory seat functions to choose between 2 different drivers in your family. Overall, this space is absolutely top notch, and the ergonomics are to live for. This car would make your life much easier while you're out on the road, and this is something which it excels in over the Tata Sierra, which is utterly complex to use. Here in the rear seat of the Seltos, things have improved drastically over the previous generation. To start off with, something very different from the previous generation Seltos is that the seat height is a little up from what was there. So you get to use the under thigh support, especially when you're at my height of 5 feet 8 inches tall. You get a good amount of area to play around with your legs and your knees. There's a good amount of space under the seat, good amount of knee room. This seat has been adjusted as per my driving preference. Even with a higher seat, I have decent amount of headroom as well, although this is slightly swooping back as a roofline. And you have this massive panoramic sunroof which eats in a little bit of the headroom, but it liberates quite a lot of light into the cabin. Now, on the features front, you have your USB-C port in the front seats, which is a very smart placement, and you can put your mobile phone over here or over here. You don't have to bend too much to charge your phone and then put it over here. So it's an easy access plus a visible space. You have your curtains at the back to blind off the sunlight while you're driving through the summer days. And the overall quality of the materials everywhere you touch is pretty high. Now these seats are reclinable, so you can put them in a slightly upright position to keep your back a little upright and increase the space at the back, or you can recline it a little bit to give yourself more comfort over the long distance trips. You also have this armrest in the center with 2 cup holders and again chamfered edges with this nice and squishy armrest to rest your elbows. You also have a soft touch armrest on the door cards and 3 headrests to suit 3 passengers of my size. So people of my size, if sat 3 abreast, are going to be pretty comfortable as well. Now, there are a few elements which I'm really impressed by. Number one, the front headrest for the driver has this grill sort of a situation, so it's much visible. There is a bit of light that liberates into the back, so it doesn't feel very dingy, and I have a slight sight of what's happening in the front. The overall storage area, especially with the door cards where you have your bottle holders, is good, and the air conditioning vents do throw in a substantial amount of wind to your face and your body when it gets really hot. And this quarter glass as well liberates in a good amount of light at the back. But overall, this is not as spacious as the Tata Sierra because it has more wheelbase than this car. But the way this car has been packaged is something to write home about. And it really makes your life effortless more than what you require in your daily routine.
Now, the Seltos has always been a good car to drive, with the people who own it always appreciating the good balance between ride and handling. Although the ride quality has been slightly stiffer, wonder how it is now with the new Seltos.
So, how is the new Seltos like to drive? Is what we are out to find out now. We are heading towards Nandi Hills, which is on the outskirts of Bengaluru, about 2 hours away from the main city. It's a nice, picturesque area where you have a bit of twisties and B roads to really understand what difference has Kia made to the overall mechanical setup. Now, the car we are driving right now gets the 1.5 liter TGDI turbocharged petrol motor. As the previous generation, it produces 160 bhp at peak and 253 newton meters of peak torque, which is actually quite wonderful considering this is mated to a 7-speed DCT gearbox. And away from the popular myths, no, this is not the DQ200 gearbox that comes in the Volkswagen set of cars. This is a Hyundai designed dual clutch automatic gearbox, wherein the first four ratios are pretty smooth, pretty good in terms of their shift quality, in terms of their gear ratios, and the engine at no point of time feels lethargic. Now, I'm currently driving in eco mode to extract out the maximum fuel economy, and there is no adjustable suspension, or the steering is adjustable as well. But the overall sense of calm in eco mode, or even when we switch to normal mode, is pretty good. The steering is very relaxed in terms of its feedback. The suspension is now slightly on the softer side, but it has been upgraded to give better ride and handling balance from the previous generation. A lot of people used to complain of the hard ride quality in the Seltos, which seems to have diminished quite substantially now. Now, this suspension feels much closer to what the Ceros has in terms of its rebound, which is a good thing because it does give you the peak of comfort when you're going over the rumble strips, which are these short heighted strips on the road, which are now being substituted for big speed bumps around urban areas, and they are quite annoying as well. And the way it goes through small potholes at nominal speeds of about 40 to 60 kilometers an hour, wherein you would be sitting most of the time. Now, around these B roads, you do feel very, very comfortable indeed. Now, we're going over a speed bump. Although this is a brand new car, but the induced jump in the cabin is felt in a much minimal way. The seats are also very well cushioned, which adds on to the comfort quotient. Now, there's another very significant thing about this new Seltos, and that is noise insulation. Although there isn't any double glazed window that Seltos might have gotten, but at this price point, that's not something that you would expect from manufacturers, or perhaps 4 years down the line, that would become a standard fitment because of how noisy the urban environment is. But somehow, the way everything is designed, the aerodynamics of the car, the way everything is dammed in the door cards, in the firewall of the engine bay towards the cabin, it's done pretty well. Now, this noise insulation is done in an incredible way. There is hardly anything that's filtering into the cabin. There are motorcycles, cars, and trucks that pass us by, but you are skeptical of falling asleep behind the wheel. And I'm glad Kia, in its top of the line trim, has installed
an 8 speaker Bose surround sound system with a subwoofer which has 400 watts RMS output. It's a pretty good thing, so you can listen to the tunes of some classical singers or your rap music as you please yourself to be. But as you can see, I'm not shouting out loud. My voice is not too high pitched. I'm almost whispering into the mic. And that comes in naturally because of how insulated the cabin is from the outside. And that's a huge remark for the car overall in terms of its insulation. But I can't be driving as an enthusiast all sedately and all the time. I have to run around like an absolute hoot sometimes. So I'll switch to sport mode, let the engine management system and the gearbox come to full Monty mode, and try to go a little too aggressive. Now, the previous generation of the Kia Seltos was stiffly sprung. It had less amount of rebound in the suspension. This has been improved slightly, but it has also been given a soft edge, which might translate into a bit more body roll for some people. But if you balance out your steering inputs correctly, it's a decent car to drive. Now I'm going up the hill through the twisties of Nandi Hills, and it feels so confidence inspiring. Although this is a little too softly sprung for my liking, but it's taking these corners in a more comfortable manner, which I'm not complaining much about. I like how this Seltos is making me feel. I like how good the roll and pitch is around the bends, especially these hard hairpin turns, which might feel a little too overwhelming for some people. And with the amount of body roll the cars in its competition have, minus the Creta N-Line, which is slightly stiffly sprung, but it's a great car overall. It drives really well. It makes you feel enthusiastic enough without you complaining much about how soft it has become over this generation. So, what's the conclusion? We've driven the new Seltos for a very brief amount of time, but there are certain things that have come out very clearly and conclusively. Number one, Kia has made sure that it sticks to the basics and makes things ergonomic and scientific when it comes to driving. This is a car which would not give drivers stress and anxiety while they're on the road, in the city, on the highway, doing twists and turns around the ghat sections. This is a very comfortable car. The suspension has been uprated, the spring rates has gone better. It's now both soft and a little more dynamic than the previous generation, but the difference is very slight. So you have to be driving a Seltos before to understand the upgrades. But overall, even for a new buyer, this makes quite a lot of sense. Number three is the way everything has been designed. Chamfered edges, that is the design element that has been taken over everywhere in the car, outside, and it just works really well. That is something which I'm highly appreciative of, because these are the details that really matter the most to the customers who are intellectual or have an eye to detail. Number four are the engine and gearbox combinations. Now, the one we were driving at large was a 1.5 litre TGDI motor, great on fuel economy, great on performance. The gearbox is slightly confusing for a new timer, but once you get used to the DCT gearbox's shifting, this is quite a tool to drive. And number five is reliability. That is something which Kia has worked upon ever since it got its hands into the Indian market. It's been almost 6 years, and reliability has been at the forefront of this brand. So the Kia Seltos and its customers rave about how reliable their cars are.
It's unlike how Tata is, where the after sales service and its electronics have low quality control, and there are quite a lot of issues perennial from the ownership's perspective, and it's just coming out quite a lot. And number 6, the most important one, are the ergonomics. This car will make your life easy. There is no touchscreen infotainment for the passenger. There are no complex electronics that would give you a headache while you're using it. There are no touch controls for the important functions. And that is something that works really well and in favor of this Seltos. So all these points are something that makes the Seltos a very strong product. Now there are two things that we are eagerly waiting upon. Number one is the safety rating once this gets the crash tests done at the NCAP agencies. And number two is the price point. What we are speculating is that this would be 15 to 20,000 rupees more expensive than the outgoing generation. And if that is so, this is going to be an excellent product for the price. At about 20-21 lakh rupees for the top end X line, this would have all the bells and whistles that you would require for your daily drives and for an ownership period of 10 to 15 years at large. Kia, this is a stellar product, and I'm really proud of you for making things scientific before alluring the people on social media. I hope you liked our video. Thank you for watching The Race Monkey. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram at The Race Monkey. If you want this merchandise, do get in touch with us on our DMs, and always wear your seatbelts while you're out on the road. Goodbye.